Next up is Mark Hampden-Smith, Director of Technology and Development from St. Cobain. Mark?
Thanks very much, and thanks for the invitation. Actually, I have to go immediately off script after seeing Dave's presentation. There's no way I'm going to let you get away with that. So history repeats itself. So in 1986, I joined Malcolm's group just as Dave was leaving, as indeed I'm speaking here right after Dave. And if you remember at the beginning of Dave's presentation, he said, yeah, he wanted to do theory. Well, perhaps he should have stuck with it, you know. Because somebody had to clean up his lab space. But actually, perhaps a funny story. I wasn't going to, this is incredibly embarrassing, I wasn't going to say, but perhaps you've inspired me now. So as Dave left, he had just made a molecule which had 2 tungstens triple bond and the hexaisopropoxide. So tungsten-tungsten triple bond, the analogue of acetylene. And this molecule dimerized to form equivalent to cyclobutadiene. But it was dynamic, so the double bonds would shift in and out, so this thing would go like this. And the only way it could do it was have a concerted rotation of the isopropoxide groups at the same time. So Malcolm was desperate to publish this. We named it the Bloomington Shuffle. Okay. Hang on. So we wrote a JAX paper, and we had the Bloomington Shuffle in the title. And actually, the paper was accepted in JAX. We were told we had to take the Bloomington Shuffle out of the title, but we could have it in the abstract. And he made me, so for an ACS presentation, he made me practice with him, standing, one white glove, Michael Jackson music on, and practicing this concerted rotation. That was an embarrassing story. I wasn't going to. So I wanted to put this picture up. This is one of my favourite pictures of Malcolm. You can see, his fantastic smile, that cheeky grin. Something was always going on in his mind. He was always going to have some kind of fun with you. The one thing I wanted to actually spend a little time talking about, that Malcolm is really known. If you look at all the accolades, he's really known for his research. We've talked about him as a fantastic person. I want to say a few words about mentorship as well. Perhaps less is known publicly. It's well known within our group, and it's very nice that Dave and I can talk from his group and give an internal perspective. And you guys know this very well from working very closely with Malcolm. He had this dedication to education and mentorship, and just incredible enthusiasm for science. It was just really fantastic. I actually went back and looked through his resume and found a few awards that perhaps don't get talked about as much as some of the others. So, and these were really focused on education and specifically mentorship. So, of course, Camille and Henry Dreyfus Teacher Scholar Award, the ACS Nobel Laureate Signature Award for Graduate Education, along with my predecessor Dave Clark here, of course. Distinguished Faculty Award for Research, Teaching and Service. Distinguished Award for Graduate Student Mentorship. So, these were just some of the accolades that Malcolm got that I think we don't tend to celebrate quite so much, because we tend to talk about papers. I think it's been mentioned, even though he spent this enormous amount of time with us, beers at night in the NMR room at 2 in the morning, and you coming and running some long experiment. Again, I look back over his career, so 18 general chemistry, Chem 101, Chem 121 classes taught in 13 years. At the same time, he was teaching graduate classes too. So, what could be better than having somebody with this infectious enthusiasm exposed to students coming into the university environment? Just fantastic. What dedication. His mentorship, writing papers, practicing talks. A number of times he wouldn't let us out of the room until we'd really got our talks, down pat. He was so dedicated to us. knowing the literature. It's not like it is now, guys. I mean, when you had to go manually look through the literature, you had to walk over to the library and go look at the bottom of the citations and go figure through the library. I mean, that was, and you could not write, you weren't going to publish a paper until you'd done that. So his expectations were really high, but not unreasonable. And I think, great example of tough love. He really loved us then and for the whole of the rest of our lives. Now, that's not to say he didn't get occasionally annoyed. And I can think of 3 occasions where we annoyed him a little bit. The first one was catalysed by a person who should remain nameless, who came to the group as a postdoc who started and didn't actually, I think only stayed about a month and a half, but didn't realise that when you take your samples in and out of the glove box, you actually close the doors on the antechamber. He also didn't realise that when you're trying to dry pyridine, when you assemble the apparatus with a reflux condenser, you don't fill it to the top of the reflux condenser. You don't put a cap on it, and you don't turn the heating mantle up to full and walk away and have lunch. So that person didn't last very long. Malcolm was not happy. Another occasion that really made him mad, which I'm sure you guys can remember. There were many times where Malcolm left us in charge of his house while he took the twins out. They were on vacation with Cindy. Of course, that was the best time to have a party. We had a visiting professor from South Africa called K.G. Moodley, who would make absolute killer potato curry. One day we cooked a huge pot, set it on Malcolm's prize oak table, and of course we were lapping it up. Unbeknownst to us, we'd spilled a whole bunch on the table. The next morning it had burnt a hole through the oak table. He was so mad with us. I mean, this curry that we're eating is burning a hole through his table. And then I think finally the time he was most mad with me personally was at a Gordon conference. We were sharing a room at Wolfsboro in Lake Winnipesaukee, and we had to walk across the common area to go have a shower. So we both went out in our towels. I was the last one to shut the door. So I didn't realise, we didn't realise until we went back in, so we're kind of cold and wet. And the place to go get the room key, another room key is about a quarter of a mile away. Lad, go get the key. So Malcolm was just a great mentor. I mean, he followed us, as Dave said, followed us throughout our lives. I think, didn't just look after us while we were in his group, but really followed us. Actually, I did get a number of phone calls from him. Lad, how's it going there? You got any funding? Yeah, I've got I'm ACS PRF. It's not enough, lad. If you want to get on in life, if you want tenure, you need some more funding. How many lectures have you given? Well, that's not enough. So I think, I asked my wife what one thing would she say about Malcolm, and I think we walked in boys and we walked out men. Right, we really understood. He had great influencing skills, taught us leadership, taught us really how to do science. So and for that, we owe him a huge debt of gratitude. And actually, in that vein, one of the things I think we can do, and a bunch of us who worked in this group have discussed this, we would love to leave a legacy for Malcolm, which is to go fund a graduate fellowship. So it'd be obviously a chance to show our gratitude to him. So you'll hear a little bit more from us going forward. Claudia's agreed to help us with this, organised and administered by the ACS Division of Inorganic Chemistry, open to PhD candidates at any institution in fields of inorganic and materials chemistry. So we'll be looking to you to, of course, raise money. Now, life isn't all about money, but we do need the money. So don't forget that bit. But actually, I think the one thing that we could do to really leave a legacy that Malcolm would appreciate is actually help these folks too, right? So through this fellowship, through a named fellowship, they are now immediately connected to a wide variety of people in a number of walks of life who could help mentor them even remotely, in addition to the mentorship they're getting in their own environment and in their own university. So I think this will be a great chance for us to pass on Malcolm's mentorship skills and support. So thanks again for the chance to be here.